And go back to the Tanzanian elections. Well, earlier in our report, we spoke about the new president's responsibilities and expectations to not only fulfill the promises to the people, but to the international community as well. Now, to get to a wider perspective, I'm joined live in our Nairobi studios by Nanjala Nyabola, an expert on Central and East African issues and a Harvard graduate. A warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us on Africa Live. Now, Zanzibar has been an issue in almost every recent election in Tanzania. Is there a reason to believe that this particular occasion should arouse more concern?
Well, yes and no. No to begin with, because elections in Zanzibar have always been contentious. The relationship between Zanzibar and the mainland has, I think, since 1985 been characterized by a lot of mistrust and a lot of political tension. So elections have always been a contentious issue there. There have been protests, there have been strikes. I think the thing that's very interesting this time around is the fact that the Electoral Commission cancelled and nullified the entire election in Zanzibar. And there was some question about whether that would raise constitutional questions about the elections as a whole. The Electoral Commission went ahead yesterday to reassure us all that that would not be the case, that in fact this has precedent before, because in 2005 there was an impact with the vice presidential candidate, on the mainland, that those results were also nullified. But the fact that this extreme step has been taken so summarily, I think, is a reason for us to watch the Zanzibari polls a little bit closely this time around.
Well, Nanjala, how important is it that we see a smooth transition of power in Tanzania as far as the rest of the region is concerned?
I think this is an opportunity for Tanzania to take its place regionally, to be an example. As you know, around the region, Central and Eastern Africa, there's been an increasing tendency for third-term presidents, for people to seek to remain in office longer than they were constitutionally mandated. I think that with a peaceful transition, Tanzania has an opportunity to kind of show the region a way forward, a different way forward politically, in terms of finding new ways of imagining the political space. I think that a smooth transition would especially be important for Burundi, which neighbors Tanzania and which has many refugees fleeing the current crisis. And I think for that particular reason, the fact that Burundi could have a knock-on effect in Rwanda, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and in Kenya, it's very important for Tanzania to have a smooth and a well-managed transition, which it seems to be having, give or take a few errors here and there.
Well, finally, Nanjala, with the elections done and dusted, Tanzanians are now calling for jobs and a more secure economy. What do you think the new president needs to focus on in his first 100 days in office?
There are definitely a lot of domestic things that he needs to think about, as you've mentioned, jobs and improving the economy. The Tanzanian shilling has taken a hit, much like the rest of the region, with the increasing strength of the dollar. So the economy is definitely going to be a priority. But I think you should also start thinking regionally. We have seen, as I mentioned before, Burundi becoming a very important issue in the region. And unfortunately, there hasn't really been much leadership on this issue by other East African presidents. So for President Magufuli, it would be a very important opportunity for him to demonstrate political leadership and raise the profile of Tanzania in the region as a political player, as a political sort of kingmaker, if you will. And I think that should be something that he puts very high on his agenda.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you very much for that analysis. And of course, Nanjala Nyabola joining us here in our Nairobi studio.